Oh, howdy all, grab yourselves a beer. It is time for some Path of Exile discussion. Today, what I wanted to talk about is how to modify an existing passive tree in order to take advantage of the new cluster jewels. Now, the first thing about the cluster jewels that are coming in the Delirium expansion 3.10 is that they can only be used in the outermost rings of the passive tree. So, for example, this large outer jewel socket here could be used to have a cluster jewel put in it, and could have a cluster of cluster jewels put in it, as could this one, as could this one over here, and there's another one down here, and then the other two are too far away from this character's passive tree. So, what you're going to want to do, you're not going to know how powerful these jewels are going to be in practice until we actually have been playing with the league for a little while. So they're a theory crafter's nightmare in that sense. However, there is something you can do in order to work out how to use them. And what that is you want to keep track on your old build of which sections towards the end of the passive tree are the weakest. So this is the level 95 Trickster Valignite Fireball character that I was playing in the Blight League. Character was fine, it's something that could still be played today. What you've got here is a core structure of the tree that all connects to itself. So you've got this section here in the shadow start. You've then got this section off here into the witch area, and there's a core backbone that looks like this. If any, and then really that's the end of the backbone because there's one branch going that way and one branch going this way. If any of those nodes are removed, then the whole tree falls apart. So you don't want to take off any of those. Then you have your sections off towards the end. So here, you'll see that I've got fire damage burning multiplier, I've got arsonist, I've got fire and life regen here, and I've got a few strength nodes. And that is a section here of the tree that is not strictly needed. So I could take those 7 points off. And the question is, what are the cheapest sections to unspec on my tree? When I say cheap, I don't mean in terms of price, I mean in terms of the opportunity cost. I'm losing out on these nodes. How important to me were they? So that's the first thing I could cut off. I could cut off Divine Judgment. Now, Divine Judgment's a really good node for this build, so I probably wouldn't want to do that. But here's another option. Here's a set of 4 nodes that form an isolated endpoint to the tree. I could cut those off. I could also cut off Devotion. Again, very good node, so I'm not going to want to do that. And this Jewel. And if I did all of that, then I'd be back to here. So that's one example of trimming down the tree at one end. Let's say that I didn't want to trim the tree there. Let's say that I wanted to keep all of those and to rebuild, I think, where was Arsonist again? Somewhere down here. There it is. So if I re-establish the tree roughly the way that it was, I think I am still missing a couple of points. I'm missing Devotion. So that's the tree as it was in game. Let's say that I didn't want to go that way. Let's say I wanted to cut out the Templar start area. And don't cut out the Templar start area, it's really strong. But I could take out this node, and I will free up 10 passive points by removing all of these, which could then be fed into a cluster jewel. The key comparison is, when I've got a cluster jewel in my hands, I've rolled it, I know what its mods are, I can then ask the question, would investing 10 points in that cluster jewel pay more returns than taking this dex node, this int node, this retribution node, these 3 life nodes, this here sanctity node, and the Holy Dominion, Light of Divinity, and elemental damage nodes? If the answer is yes, then I should do it. If the answer is no, then I shouldn't use my cluster jewel. And there's a whole bunch of other isolated endpoints on the tree. There's Breath of Flames, which is far too good for this build to do without, and Cruel Preparation. That is an entirely disconnected section of the tree. There's Firewalker. Firewalker could probably go. And then the question is Arcanist Dominion. How good is Arcanist Dominion? It's okay. It's nothing special. So it's something that could conceivably go. This Manner and Life section I don't really want to get rid of. And then there's a whole lot of things over in the shadow starting area where, because this is an entire loop here, that means that I can trim this in pretty much any way that I want. I've got a lot of flexibility to gut this section of the passive tree should I wish to do so. However, the The reason I wouldn't do that on this build is that I have a Lethal Pride here, which gives me some quite good bonuses. So anyway, that is the way that you can decide what you want to trim. In practice, I would probably take away Arsonist as the easiest decision. That frees up a few points to use on the powerful jewels. I might also decide that I want to anoint Holy Fire instead of paying all the points that I do to get it. That would be an option. In which case, I'd be able to free up these 4 points possibly. Although they're pretty good points, so maybe I don't want to do that. It's still going to be a very difficult decision. There's no really trivial things to remove on a lot of passive trees. Everything comes with a cost, but if the cluster jewels that you're adding are worth it, then it's a price that you're just going to pay. If you got any comments or questions, fire away below. Otherwise, I'm going to keep this one quick and I'll leave it there.